The Tories are calling for Morgan McSweeney, Keir Starmer's right-hand man, to be investigated by police over undeclared donations.
We speak with Conservative Chair Kevin Hollinrake, who is leading the charge to oust Morgan McSweeney and maybe take the Prime Minister down with him.
Keir Starmer, in opposition, and indeed when he entered office, said everything would be open and transparent, of course. Now, donations are key to that. And what we've seen, this organisation, Labour Together, which is kind of a sister organisation to the Labour Party, has been accumulating huge amounts of money, £740,000, and not declaring those donations. It's as simple as that.
Is another embarrassing resignation in the pipeline for Keir Starmer? His Chief of Staff, Morgan McSweeney, is under scrutiny over reports he failed to declare £740,000 in gifts to his campaign group, Labour Together. Those donations were made between 2017 and 2020, and in 2021, the group was later fined for breaking electoral law more than 20 times, including for not declaring donations. Joining us is Tory Party Chairman Kevin Hollinrake. You are going great guns on this story, aren't you, Kevin? You are absolutely going for the jugular. You're saying he should be investigated by the police. Can you make your case, please?
Well, this is important. I mean, the whole of politics in terms of donations is regulated to make sure everything's transparent. And Keir Starmer, in opposition, and indeed when he entered office, said everything would be open and transparent, of course. Now, donations are key to that. And what we've seen, this organisation, Labour Together, which is kind of a sister organisation to the Labour Party, has been accumulating huge amounts of money, £740,000, and not declaring those donations. It's as simple as that. What we found out subsequently, that kind of failure to declare was kind of argued away that was just an admin error. What we have seen now is email correspondence between Labour Together's solicitors and Labour Together and Morgan McSweeney saying, actually, we'll explain it away as admin error. It's not really. You were told twice in 2017, in November 2017, by the Electoral Commission, and December 2017, you must declare these donations. He did not.
Can you explain to us who Morgan McSweeney is, how close he is to the Prime Minister, why he matters so much?
He's his Chief of Staff, and he's somebody that was very anti-Jeremy Corbyn and set about unseating Jeremy Corbyn, pushing him to the side and bringing in Keir Starmer. There was this big plan for Morgan McSweeney to do that. And he's very much seen as the central figure in the Labour Party, not just in terms of Keir Starmer's Chief of Staff, which he now is. So he ran this organisation, Labour Together, with the principal aim of getting rid of Jeremy Corbyn and bringing in somebody he felt was more electable. This was usefully Keir Starmer. And so he's been there alongside Keir Starmer all the way.
And what is McSweeney's explanation for this?
Well, his explanation to the Electoral Commission was it's just an admin error, and they fined him £14,000 because it was an admin error. But the correspondence now clearly shows this is a way to simply sweep this under the carpet.
Right.
Why is it embarrassing to have the donations? Because Keir Starmer is serving under Jeremy Corbyn, while at the same time a movement is growing to try and oust Jeremy Corbyn and install Starmer as his replacement.
Well, there are many things, yes, partially that, but there are many things that are embarrassing to many of the Labour members. Who are you getting the money from? These wealthy donors. Jeremy Corbyn is seen by many as this wonderful left-wing figure and then been seated by a more centre-ground, more Blairite kind of person. I never bought that myself. Keir Starmer himself is a self-avowed socialist. So, but some of these donors were embarrassing. It was much easier for Labour Together to simply pretend they didn't exist. They were told very clearly, and people can see it on my Twitter feed very clearly by Electoral Commission, you must declare these donations. They did not.
Just to balance out this conversation, both the Electoral Commission and indeed a spokesman for Labour Together has said, look, this was investigated. The investigations were concluded back in 2021. There's nothing further to see here. A Labour source has told The Telegraph, in fact, in our reporting of all this, this was thoroughly investigated years ago and action was taken. The Tories can sling mud, Kevin, all they like. It doesn't change the facts here. So what are you saying has changed? The emails subsequently, which reveal that even though McSweeney was told to declare the donations, that 740,000 figure, that he actually took the decision not to. Is that what you're saying?
It's quite clear. If people, again, this is on my Twitter feed, people can pick it up. The solicitor now he says in this email to Morgan McSweeney, there's no easy way to explain how Labour Together finds itself in this situation. And they ask a series of questions to Morgan McSweeney, and he said, basically, if you can't give answers to these questions, if you can't substantively answer these questions I pose, then perhaps best to simply base our case as admin error. The Electoral Commission took that at face value, didn't have access to this email I'm talking about now. And so the Electoral Commission said, OK, it was admin error, we'll put it down as that, we'll fine you £14,000. So this is not just the fact they've concealed the donations, they've also covered up then the reasons why these donations were not declared.
And is that, for McSweeney, a resignation issue or something more, do you think?
Well, potentially it's a criminal offence. If you conceal donations, there's legislation that covers that. This is potentially a crime. If you deliberately conceal donations, it is a crime.
OK, so look, the Daily Mail and the Mail on Sunday have done a lot of work on this. We're obviously featuring it on the Daily Tea today. What astonishes me, Kevin, is you're making really serious allegations. They do require some probing, I would suggest, and they certainly require some journalistic discussion. And yet, when I look at X, you're doing very heavy lifting on this. Fair play to you. You're being an opposition politician. That's what you should be doing. You should be scrutinising government. You should be scrutinising the Prime Minister. You should be scrutinising his advisers. We then get the likes of other Tory MPs sort of on social media today going on about swan eating and Tylenol / paracetamol. This isn't cutting through. Why isn't it cutting through? Are the Tories as a whole, not criticising you, Mr. Hollinrake, doing a good enough job here? Because this is really serious stuff. Sort of makes cake eating during the pandemic seem rather peripheral and piffling. So what are you actually saying here? Because if you're actually calling for McSweeney's resignation, by implication, you're questioning whether the Prime Minister is surely fit for office.
I certainly do. I mean, on that latter point, I'll take the point about my colleagues in a second, but this then has very fundamental consequences for Keir Starmer, because he was associated with this. Look on my Twitter feed. Again, this is Labour Together material, effectively saying they put Keir Starmer in office. Right. That's what they are saying. So, and there's more material to come out yet. So there's the more stuff over this weekend.
All right, Kevin, can you speak to our news desk about that?
I'm very happy.
You're giving more stories to our rivals.
Well, it's. I mean, clearly we're working very hard behind the scenes and trying to find all the information here, and more's coming out as we go. And more people are bringing information to us and all this. So there will be more to come, but that's very serious for a Prime Minister when you're talking about hundreds of thousands of pounds of money. So in terms of my colleagues, many of my colleagues have retweeted this, have contacted me to say, you're doing a great job on this, keep going, you got him in the sights. I've got to say, we did a lot of work on Angela Rayner too, as the Telegraph did, and did a fantastic job in exposing her wrongdoing. That was a pretty clear-cut case, exactly. This is more complex. There's no doubt about it. And so in politics, you have so many things to do at any one time. So it's probably not quite as retail as some of the other things we've done, be it Mandelson or Angela Rayner, but all those things, I've got to commend my colleagues in Central Office who are doing a fantastic job on this. But also is the public and yourselves, much of the media is interested in this, although strangely the BBC is not right now.
But I guess what people might say is, yes, the Tories are bringing this stuff to light, and that Kemi did a very good surgical job on Peter Mandelson at PMQs. We all remember that. It was an admirable turn. But the Tories don't seem to be benefiting. Why is it the Tories are landing these punches, but it's reform that benefits? Is it because voters are thinking, yeah, I'm not surprised Labour might be crooked, but you were too, and I'm not going to forget it?
Well, listen, there's no doubt we start from a long way back. After the last election, after May elections, we've got an awful long way to go. So I understand why the public is not recognising all we've got to say right now or our efforts right now. But we're focused on doing our job as the opposition. That's the most important thing we can do, just focus on our day job. I believe when people see as taking this kind of role on and challenging the Prime Minister and his advisors, people will see that we're an effective opposition. That's what we've got to focus on, our day job, and I think that's what we're doing.
Well,
Can
Pat McFadden says you're just jealous that you're only attacking McSweeney because he's, quote, talented.
Well, he would say that, wouldn't he? I mean, but anyway, if people can judge for themselves, I'm going to say, if you look on the Twitter sphere, and I'm not one of these kind of Twitter I don't get millions of followers on Twitter or anything, but my Twitter feed has been completely blown. It's been so many people have followed this story. Tens of thousands of people. I think one of these tweets said we've got over 1 million views.
Kevin Hollinrake's gone viral, ladies
I know,
and gentlemen.
amazing. I mean, there were things you never hear. But but the reality is the public is very interested in this. They do think, if you look at the tweet, he'll get away with it again, Teflon Starmer or whatever. But I don't think he can get away with this.
Haven't you got to be careful what you wish for? You defenestrate McSweeney, it costs Starmer his job, and then you're facing a more effective opponent than the very unpopular Prime Minister.
Maybe a more left-wing one as well.
Well,
that's the
indeed.
point. I mean,
Selling your Tory
again.
constituents down the river.
I mean, it's a tangled web, isn't it, politics? So the implications, whatever you do. But I really think, listening to Andy Burnham the last few days, and this civil war between Steve Reed and Andy Burnham, all this kind of stuff, when there's some really big issues going on in the world, like Russia buzzing Eastern Europe and that kind of stuff, and this catastrophic second budget for Rachel Reeves this autumn, there's bigger things to worry about. But listen to Andy Burnham whacking council tax up around the country, higher taxes, higher top rate taxes. I don't think that's a popular message for lots of people that Labour are relying on now to vote for them. So whoever's in number 10, if it's a Labour Prime Minister, we're gonna make sure people understand the realities of voting Labour.
There's a bit of a civil war among the Tories, though, isn't there?
Not anymore. They're a nest of singing birds.
As we speak, Rob Jenrick is probably tweeting a video of himself jogging up Mount Everest in the nude, shouting about immigrants. It does feel like he's auditioning to be the Tory Andy Burnham.
Well, Rob Jenrick's a very talented guy, but Kevin Badenoch won the race to be our leader. And I think most people can see in our party, we did many good things in 14 years, some things we didn't do so well. But one of the things we did not get right was constantly changing our leader. To change our leader now would be ridiculous, catastrophic. Kemi Badenoch, to my mind, is the strongest, toughest, most authentic person in politics. People will increasingly see that and then increasingly move back to the Conservatives, because we will sort the things people are worried about, such as borders and policing the streets, but we'll do it in a way where we balance the books, and no other party will do that.
Well, with that image of mountain climbing Robert Jenrick in our minds, we will thank you, Kevin Hollinrake, for joining us on the Daily Tea.
That's a pleasure. Thank you.
Tim, do you take my point about sort of Tylenol and swans? I mean, why the Tories keep on making this mistake of using up energy attacking Farage,
Yes.
with whom a great many of their voters agree. Stop attacking the person on your side. Just take the fight to Labour day and night.
Well, what I want to know from Donald Trump is, will eating a swan give me autism? I think that's the next big question. What I think is beginning to happen, it feels like the tectonic plates are shifting a little bit. Mustn't read too much into polls, but there's a little bit of early evidence of the reform vote slipping a bit, and Labour, possibly even the Tories, rising a little bit. And we are about to enter 2 weeks of conference.
Yes.
And the narrative of those conferences is going to be very similar. Tories are going to be talking about, should we dump our leader?
Yes.
Labour's going to be talking about, should we dump our leader?
Yes.
And as I suggested, Jenrick's kind of playing the Burnham role.
Yes,
on
exactly.
His side.
And you and I will have our eyes trained on these ambitious men.
Of course.
In the background.
And they're both trying to tap into grassroots anger, and they're both suggesting essentially that their parties should be more philosophically authentic. So it's really striking how and one wonders if that will take some of the publicity away from reform at the time that reform keeps feeling that it needs to defend Donald Trump in a way that I feel it could just say that's for Donald to say and we're not going to comment.
You can disown some of what Donald Trump says and
Just not
still
comment
appear to
upon it
be
at
right
all.
wing. I know, it's
Yeah.
weird.